Okay, so when I usually give my thoughts on certain things, like how I've previously reviewed The Adventure Begins, Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, and The Great Race, I normally seem to like or not like so much those movies for different reasons than how everyone else views it. Like, I thought I didn't like The Great Race because of a few minor things and never once addressing the fact that there was a lot of filler in it. This is one of the reasons why I don't plan to make a thoughts on Journey Beyond Sodor, because for one, I would have liked it or hated it for different reasons than others have brought up, except for the bouncing, and two, it's too late anyway. Everybody and their mothers have already bitched and moaned and complained about this movie before I could. I didn't have a functioning device to show my opinions on at the time, and everyone else, like Turtles and Thomas, The Unlucky Tug, and everyone else has already viewed my opinions on them, and I agree with them already. So, my thoughts on that movie, everyone's reviews have already covered it for me. So there you go. But now, I'm going to be one of the first people on the internet to be reviewing the recent My Little Pony Friendship is Magic movie. Yeah, 7 seasons and 7 years, and just now have they now decided to make a movie. Oh, fucking A, I love this movie. I'm sure the general public wouldn't care about this movie, and hey, the first time Hasbro tried to release a My Little Pony movie, it didn't seem to work as well. But I'm sure most bronies, like myself, could like this movie, right? I mean, there's no humans, there's no alternate dimension, there's no simplistic storyline that would easily be put into a direct-to-DVD movie. This is a full-length, over 90-minute, professional, animated My Little Pony movie. And it was fucking amazing! Oh dear lord, where the fuck do I start with this? So why don't we just start with one of the biggest things I loved about this movie, immediately, secondhand, before I even came into it, the animation. Holy fucking lord, the animation is fucking amazing. And it should be too. I heard that this was the first 2D animated movie in years. I mean, animated movie that was direct to cinemas that we've seen in years. I think the last one that we had one like this was maybe Winnie the Pooh, I think. Unless there's something else that I missed out. I mean, most movies nowadays seem to be all CG, or they tend to go for one type of style, and it's suddenly everywhere. I mean, for one thing, it's cheaper to make, and you would get a hell of a lot more detail that way. But there's not really enough room for films like 2D animated films or stop motion animated films to get that much of a spotlight anymore. But with MLP, wow. There's obviously this kind of trend between 3D animated backgrounds, like for Catalot or the Badlands or the Abandoned Village or whatever, and there's 2D animated characters, like the ponies, the sea ponies, and Tempest and that. 3D backgrounds and 2D animated characters on top of them. That's a combination we don't usually see that often. Oh, and the 2D animation, it's not like they've updated Adobe Flash to the best of its ability. No, we're saving that for the show. for the movie, they got Toon Boom, what's his name? And it is really amazing. I mean, wow. So much detail, so much expressive animation, and it's all so fluid and so smooth, and ugh, can't get enough of it. I mean, this animation, it's fucking amazing. I mean, even for being better than the show animation, it's still really amazing. I mean, this is probably the best animated movie I've seen in quite a while. I know I sound like a cliche douche for saying this, but this is almost Disney quality. I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, wow. It's even comparable to Disney sometimes. I mean, the movements, the expressions, the. Wow. Okay, enough of me fangasming over the animation. What about the rest of the movie? The story for the movie. So, it all starts off all bright, colourful, and cheery. Exactly how you would imagine an updated animated version of the show would look. There's a friendship festival in Canterlot held by Princess Twilight, and everything seems to be all bright and cheery. All your favourite characters are there, and then all of a sudden, it suddenly realized this was supposed to be a movie, and they add in a conflict. And boy, oh boy, what a conflict it is. We enter Tempest Shadow and his assistant Grubber, by the way. Comic relief servant character. Anyway, Tempest Shadow, who is working for the Storm King, who tries to capture all four Alicorn princesses so that the Storm King can absorb their power into his magic staff to create a massive, powerful storm to control or maybe destroy all of Equestria and conquer the entire world, just as he's done to the other parts of the world. But luckily, Twilight and her friends managed to escape from Tempest's plea, and they managed to go off to find the hippogriffs to hopefully help them to get rid of the Storm King and hopefully deal with them and stop this disaster from happening. Now, quite recently before this movie, I saw the Cinema Snob reviewing the original My Little Pony movie from 1986. And I'm sorry, I noticed this after I've watched it, but it almost feels like this movie feels like a retelling of the original My Little Pony movie. I mean, think about it. The movie starts off all bright, colourful, and cheery. Nothing bad is happening. We're introduced to our villains, and then they unleash an unspeakable evil that might doom the entire land, and the ponies go off to find these other creatures to help the ponies to defeat this evil and bring cheerfulness back to their land. Yeah, that's almost the same, isn't it? I mean, with the hippogriffs, they are basically the flutter ponies, and with the Storm King, it's basically the smooths. It's almost nearly exactly the same. But it does remember that this is Friendship is Magic, and they do some usual things that they've done in the show, but much more higher up. I mean, the show already has a lot of world building, like with Griffinstone or Saddle Arabia or that Egypt looking place from that recent Daring Do episode. They take that to a whole new level in this movie. They go to an abandoned village run by fish type people, and they go to this pirate ship filled with parrot pirates, and the place that they're going to is this kingdom run by hippogriffs. But there happens to be an underwater kingdom underneath the kingdom where the hippogriffs have evolved into sea ponies. That almost feels like world building to the extreme. I mean, as the marketing keeps saying, they are going beyond Equestria. I mean, it's not like they're just going to Saudi Arabia or Philadelphia or whatever. No, no, no. Outside the continent of Equestria, going to deserts, in the storm clouds, under the sea, to ancient kingdoms beyond, way beyond. And, the basic story itself, there are backstories for certain characters. Like, we get a backstory for the sea ponies. They were once hippogriffs who lived in a peaceful kingdom, but then the Storm King took over, and the hippogriffs fled from the Storm King underwater, and they found this mystical crystal that can turn them into sea ponies. Yeah, it's not like the original My Little Pony series from the 80s where sea ponies just appear with no backstory whatsoever. We find out that the sea ponies were actually once hippogriffs, but they had to be turned into sea ponies to be safe from the Storm King. And as with the backstory for Tempest Shadow, she was once a normal filly like the rest of the ponies, but she once got slashed by the Ursa Minor from season 1, and the slash cut off her horn and gave her a massive scar around the eye. And her broken horn seems to be causing destructive kind of magic that other ponies would flee from her because she seemed too dangerous. And from being alone, she felt very angry and bitter, and she wanted to take revenge on those ponies by ruling over them. And with the parrot pirates, they had a backstory as well. They were once actual pirates, going over distant lands, taking treasure, fighting evildoers, and that kind of thing. And they were taken into labor by the Storm King by doing deliveries for him and that sort of thing. But thanks to the main 6, they managed to go back to their old ways. The parrots are now pirates again. The sea ponies find out that running away doesn't solve your problems, and they turn back into hippogriffs for the fight, and possibly to rebuild their hippogriff kingdom after the movie, probably. And Tempest Shadow learns about the value of friendship at the end, and finds out that her broken horn can be useful at times. And I felt like watching this movie, I could pretty much tell that this is the same kind of storyline they've been doing over and over and over again. You know, with characters like Sunset Shimmer, Starlight Glimmer, Juniper Montage. Taking a character who, at the start, claims to be evil, but has some kind of backstory that made her good, that she used to be good once, but then turned evil for some kind of reason. And then the main 6 bundle together, show her the power of redemption, friendship, and they're suddenly friends with the main 6. But this movie does it in a subtle kind of way. Yeah, it's the same kind of story traits we saw over and over and over again, but it's done because this is a movie. It gets expanded, and it's so subtle that some viewers don't even notice. There's action scenes and great animation to make you sort of forget about this kind of cliche. And as far as I can tell, continuity-wise, I don't think this movie would have taken place after the season 7 finale. I mean, that was one of the things I was worried about. I mean, as soon as the movie was released, and everybody was posting videos and clips of the movie onto YouTube, I was worried that they might be going into this movie too soon. I was worried that some elements from the season 7 finale, which haven't even aired yet from this recording, were going to carry on into this movie. But luckily, I was wrong. Actually, I don't even know when this movie actually takes place, continuity wise. I mean, I saw a screenshot with the Cutie Mark Crusaders with their cutie marks, so it obviously takes place after season 5. But then I saw Starlight with Trixie at one point, so maybe this takes place after season 6. But then we don't see any kind of things which would kinda be expected from season 7. Like, there aren't any certain characters from season 7 episodes. Like, I don't know, Rainbow Dash's parents, or AK Yearling, or other kind of characters from season 7 or most recent seasons. But they do give you some idea. If I had really had to guess, I would guess that it takes place after season 6. Or at the very least, after Celestial Advice, I think. Now let's talk about the songs. Just like with the Equestria Girls movies, there apparently is a lot of songs in this movie. And most of them seem to be really, really catchy, really enjoyable, and most of them seem to fit in with the characters really, really well. I mean, the song that Capper sings, it really fits in with his character, like a sort of tango jazzy move to fit in with his voice actor. And the Pinky and Princess Skystar song, that really fits in with Pinky's character, all lighthearted and bouncy and really catchy and bouncy and really having a good time. And Open Your Eyes, a really intimidating villain type of song, which really fits into Tempest Shadow's character by this point in the movie. The songs really, really work. Most of them are catchy and really enjoyable to listen to while watching the movie, and a lot of them seem to fit in with their respective characters. And the song that Sia sings, Over the Rainbow or whatever it's called, I'd give it a 45, 40, 42.5? I don't really know. I'll explain later why I hate the music industry nowadays, but Sia's song was alright. I mean, on its own, just audio, it would be kind of... But over the animation of the end credits, it's a bit better. But the point is, a majority of the songs are really enjoyable, and I wouldn't mind playing them on my favorite MLP songs playlist. And now, the characters. The old characters, like the main 6 and Spike, they were really implemented very well into the movie. I mean, I can't really say much about them because it'd pretty much be the same. They're pretty much the same way as they are in the show. I mean, Twilight trying to appreciate friendship and things like that. Not to say that it's cliched or it's retelling stuff from the show, but it's really... it's okay. It's not enough to make you think this movie is below average or anything. It's just fine. It's fine. Now, the new characters... wow, there sure are a lot of them. And they are all really enjoyable in their own way. My favorite character from the movie that I can think of is probably Capper. I don't know why, but I just really, really, really like Capper in this movie. He reminds me a lot of characters like, I don't know, Thomas O'Malley from the Aristocats. I mean, a streetwise cool cat. I really like that sort of character for some reason. And, yeah, he's really enjoyable. Uh, Tempest Shadow? She was really interesting as a villain. And, really, really intimidating. Yeah, almost on par with either Tyrek or the Dazzlings. Um, the Storm King, he was alright for a villain. I mean, he's not the best villain, either in the show or anywhere else, but they are obviously trying to go for a intimidating villain, but a comedic villain at the same time, since, you know, this is a kids movie. We wouldn't want anything too dark or too intimidating in this light-hearted, brightly colored pony movie for the kids. What they went with the Storm King is alright. He did have a few jokes here and there. Some of them didn't really pay off. Some of them got a little bit of a snicker out of me. And, he did manage to become an intimidating villain at the end. Make the stakes really high than they have been before. And, taking over Equestria with a giant tornado. And, yeah, he was alright. Oh, and not to mention, he is the second character that we've seen in the whole series that is actually killed off. Yeah, I mean, spoilers, but at the end of the climax, there's this spell that originally turned the princesses into black crystals. The spell is being shot at Twilight by the Storm King, and Tempest steps in and saves her life, and sacrifices herself to encase the Storm King in this black crystal, but he falls over the edge just as that happens. Then the black crystal statue of the Storm King falls to the ground from a balcony, falls to the ground, and it shatters into pieces, pretty much effectively killing the Storm King. Yeah, it's kind of similar to the fate of Sombra, but, yeah. He's killed off. They play a joke about him in the end credits, but no, he's dead. Anyways, the sea ponies. Or I should say hippogriffs. Princess Skystar and Queen Novo. I really, really liked Princess Skystar. She was so enjoyable. Provides a lot of light-hearted fun moments into moments that seem dark. And she seems really enjoyable. And there's also these pirate parrots, or parrot pirates. I'll try saying that 2 times fast. Sorry, I don't actually remember their names, but yeah, I really like them as well. Sorry, I don't have much to say, but I just saw the movie about 2 hours ago, and I'm just saying things as they are while I have it fresh in my mind. And I feel that these characters are really well implemented into the movie. I was kind of worried going into this movie that it might have suffered the same fate the original My Little Pony movie suffered from. Like, they had Danny DeVito to guest star as one of these gnome creatures in the original movie, and he barely did anything in terms of doing anything with the plot. And I was worried they might do the same thing in this movie, but with Michael Pena, Emily Blunt, and that. But luckily, these characters managed to get quite equal amounts of screen time as the main 6. Luckily. I mean, they all did something related to the plot in some way, and they were all around at the climax to help with the battle against the Storm King. I mean, Capper, the Parrot Pirates, and the Hippogriffs, they all joined in with the main six to get rid of the goons and to stop the Storm King. And yeah, they weren't just one-off characters that we only saw in one scene in the movie, but they decided to put in just because they had the money to afford a big star voice actor for their roles. Kind of like a certain blue Jamaican crane I know. So these new characters were really, really enjoyable, and yeah, I think that's all I can say about this movie. And it was a really, really, really great movie. The animation is some of the best 2D animation I've seen in a while. The songs were really catchy and enjoyable and fits in with their respective characters. The story might have been retelling certain things, like even the original My Little Pony movie from the 80s, but it was still really enjoyable. And the characters, the old ones, were implemented very well, and the new ones were really enjoyable and enough to make this a must watch for all bronies. Well, I don't think I should call it that far. It's a really it's a I mean it's like dessert. I mean it's like dessert. It's like you've gone through your meal, you just had a decent savory roast, which might be either duck or chicken or something with mashed potatoes or cheese pasta or whatever, which would kind of represent the main My Little Pony show, which is already great enough already. But this movie, this is the chocolate gatto of the meal. I mean, it's a lot tastier, it's a lot more decorative, it's a lot more exquisite looking, and it's a real treat. Literally a treat. It's a cake. So if you're looking for a great cake, or at the very least a great thing to come inside with the My Little Pony show, then look to this movie. I highly recommend it. So that's all I have to say about this movie, and I don't know what I'm going to be making next, but I hope I can do it with this new iPad. Yeah, I better go. It's nearly time for lunch. Bye.